Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Best show ever here on 97.5 The Fanatic and NBC Sports Philadelphia. 610-632-0975. Let's get right to our opening statements today. And we start with the word of the day. And the word of the day today is uneven. Uneven, and we will discuss all these things that have been in people's minds, and we'll start right there with the Eagles. And I think it's fair to say yesterday, I keep thinking last night because they play so many primetime games. They have another one next week. But yesterday afternoon, I felt it was fair to say it was an uneven performance, and we will decide on what the most important things were in that uneven performance. Because first things first, they did win the game and get to 9-1. And that's hard to do, and I don't care who you're playing. If you played the Colts 10 times, if you're 9-1, that's a good thing. So I think we have to put that where it belongs. That's where it should go at the top, in my opinion. At the same time, there are many people who are very frustrated by what happened in quarters 1 through 3 and aren't as excited about the good plays, especially from Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter. For me personally, I thought that the offense would struggle some, and especially in this first game without Goddard. I said it ahead of time. I thought that would happen. So, was I pleased with the first 3 quarters of offense? Absolutely not. I just wasn't shocked. What I was shocked about was that Steichen and Sirianni, in my opinion, did not have a great game plan to work around it. What I thought he would do is go to the strengths of the team and go to the wide receivers, the running backs, etc. Instead, a lot of the offensive plays look like the same plays they were running anyway. A lot of 12 and even 13 personnel. We're seeing double and triple tight ends, despite the fact that 2 of the tight ends have basically played no football at all. That part was peculiar to me. And I think you showed it at one point when they had 1st and 35, it was because of 2 penalties by 2 of the backup tight ends. I thought those guys were used too much. And the RPO stuff, I thought there were times early in the game where Jalen Hurts was making the wrong reads on the RPO. I thought there were times he should have kept it where he handed it off, and there was times where he handed it off where he should have kept it. It didn't look great to me. But in the fourth quarter, that dude stood tall. He stood tall, 8 of 11 passing, running down the field. Quez gets a touchdown, which I didn't expect. He runs for another touchdown. Jalen Hurts, he balled out in that fourth quarter. So for me, having the expectation that they would struggle on offense, it didn't look the way I thought it would look, but I did think there would be some trouble. Overall, when I look at that offensive side of the ball, because of that quarterback, I come out saying he finished strong. That's the most important thing. They got the win. Uneven or not, it's hard to win in football. I'm not overly panicked. The flip side is the defense. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if Sue was going to play because he really only had 1 practice, but it wasn't even really a practice. Joseph was starting right away on the nose, ended up playing a bunch of snaps. They both played well. And after the first drive, which was frustrating for all of us, and I know almost everybody in the city was saying, here we go again. After that initial drive, they gave up less than 3 yards per carry the rest of the game. And they only gave up 16 points. If they give up 16 points for the rest of the season, they're going to be all right. So overall, for me, I have to say that I'm pleased that my football team won, and I'm not going to treat a win like it's a loss. And I see what's out there on social media. I heard the John Kincaid show this morning. They were talking about it. In my opinion, to me, it's just a no-brainer that you won the football game. There's things to work on, but you won the football game. You got to 9-1. The Vikings lost. Someone told you that was going to happen on Friday. The Giants lost. To me, this was about as good a weekend as you can have in Philadelphia. You get closer to the bye, and yes, you start thinking about the bye now with a 1.5 basic game lead on the Vikings. That's where I'm at. I understand it wasn't pretty, but your quarterback stood tall, your defense stood tall, and you won the football game. Through it all, to me, that was a good day. What do you say?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good this morning. I know that feels weird because we watched that all go down and 3 points was sitting on the scoreboard and you're going, what's happening with this offense? Now, I'm not going to tell you that Jalen Hurts is exactly the next player that I'm about to mention, but I watched Sunday Night Football last night and I saw the Kansas City Chiefs have 13 points at half. I watched them only get a field goal in the third quarter. I bring that up to you because in the fourth, Pat Mahomes was special and made all those plays, and him and Travis Kelce actually connected, and they went in and they won that game against the Chargers, and they snuck away with one after that fourth quarter was sensational. I look at Jalen Hurts and I go, this dude was able to do it when the moment got big. That 4th and 2, that downhill run that he had, the scramble before the Quez Watkins touchdown was beautiful. Even that throw to Quez Watkins, I think, might not even be getting enough love because it was a great throw. It was a rip. It was right on the money, and that put them in the end zone. And he had to deal with a lot of adversity. At times, A.J. Brown wasn't on the field, and I thought that was bizarre. The head coach panicked on 4th and 10 and forced him to be in an uncomfortable spot. Now, Jalen made some mistakes, too. I thought he took a sack that knocked him out of field goal position. That was on the 1st and 35 drive. So they actually managed to be in the spot to kick 3 points, but he took a sack. So he's battling adversity, whether it's from others. A.J. Brown fumbled the ball, but when it mattered most, what's important in this league? Your quarterback in the biggest moments when the lights are shining, and Jalen Hurts was able to succeed. So that's why I feel as good as I do. And credit to Gannon. We don't give a lot of credit to Gannon because we don't really like him. But at the end of the day, that was ridiculous what he did. And even when they got the field goal at the end of the first half, that wasn't even because of the defensive problems. That's because of special teams, which is always a concern at this point because you had the false start on the punt, and then they allowed a nice return afterwards, which makes me sick. But ultimately, I'm proud today because of the way the QB played, Ricky Bo.
Questions will always be there. I think first and foremost, I want you to take a big picture look at this. You go to opening day against the Detroit Lions. The defense does not show up. What happens in the next 7 weeks after that? The defense shows up. They do a nice job. There was some faltering after that. They come back yesterday. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched this first drive yesterday, and I was dreading having to come in here and rip this team apart for their defense again. But the defense stood tall. And nobody's brought up Sue or Joseph, but those guys are beasts in the middle of your defense. And think about this, they're going to get more playing time as time goes on. Now, we talk about adjustments. Jonathan Gannon made adjustments with his defense in yesterday's game. That's the first time I believe we've seen it really in game, where he made an adjustment immediately after that first drive and then shut down the running game and Jonathan Taylor of the Colts. That's first and foremost. You think about, your backs to the wall. Brandon Graham last week hits the quarterback late, turns into a possible big play because that could have gone either way. I mean, the Eagles may not have scored after that, but it was a 15-yard penalty, gave the Commanders a first down. Does that? He ends up with a big sack at late in the ball game in this one. You go to Quez Watkins, a big fumble in last week's game against Commanders. He comes back and scores a touchdown. I'm talking about bounce back ability with this team. I think it's special. And anytime you look at a team, and a good word for today is uneven, because we have seen some uneven teams. We've seen good offense, bad defense. Now we've seen good defense, bad offense. They will fix it. You know why? Because I have faith. I have faith that they will make the adjustments, especially when they have a week to do it. I think this team is special in more ways than one. Obviously, what Jalen Hurts did at the end of the game was special. Anytime your quarterback has that type of confidence, it just brews on the offensive end. I think the offense picks it back up next week. I think this may be one of those turning point games where everything kind of comes together after this.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. You got the defense, which we were worried about, squared away, it looked like. And it's not just about the opponent. We can't do this hindsight thing where before the game we're like, oh my God, Jonathan Taylor, running game, we're so worried. Then when the defense plays great, then say, oh, it was only the Colts. Well, hold on. You can't have it both ways. You can't say you were definitely afraid of a team going into the game. Then when they handle that team, especially and shut down that run game after that first drive, then say, oh, well, it was only the Colts. You can't have it both ways. Plus, coming up this week, you can kind of say, if you're going to say it's just the Colts, you can say it's just the Packers, too, coming up. I got to be honest. They're not a great football team.
They're playing worse than the Colts.
Yeah, now their quarterback has more left in it to take, I think, than Ryan has. Also, Jeff Saturday, you thought that just going back to him was just going to be you go back to Matt Ryan, we're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, Jeff. Also, not for nothing, just the first drive, they went right down the field and scored a touchdown. This is just so Jeff Saturday throws on 3 downs the next drive.
That made no sense. Jonathan Taylor had 49 yards in your first drive, and you decide to have Matt Ryan take over? Good job.
I'm just noticing some things.
And by the way, their defense is ranked fourth.
Yeah,
fourth in the league. Yeah, so, that's a pretty good defense you went up against.
It was a good defense. So I think overall it was a good day. 610-632-0975. We'll also talk about Nick Sirianni today because I'm seeing mixed things about him. is he too emotional? He's winning. He's 9-1. So on that, you put it on the side, and he's coach of the year. But you see he's just a different type of cat. Is that fair to say that he's just kind of a different dude? We have never quite seen a guy who acts like him, really, if that makes sense. How do we, as a city, feel about him when he's jumping on the bench and yelling at the crowd and being almost in tears when a few weeks ago he told us that Dallas week was no big deal?
Yeah, it is strange. And I don't know. See, I might be the wrong person to ask because when I see him after the game crying over his passion for Frank Reich, it doesn't hit me. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right because some guys might see like, man, this guy's real. He keeps it 100. He lets his emotions fly. And there are some that gain something from that. But for me personally, after the game, I prefer hearing about what went wrong with the offense in the game and, what you were thinking here. Why did you go for it on 4th and 10? Those are the details I prefer. I don't really care how Indianapolis decided to let go of Frank Reich. So I don't personally love it, but that doesn't mean that I'm right to feel that way. That's how I see it.
No, you have every right to feel that way. You have a judgment. You see the guy jumping up. This isn't the first time he started pointing at people. Yeah, he is 9-1. He's doing his job coaching-wise, which is great. What's he going to do if they win the Super Bowl? Is he going to be like a cheerleader doing backflips the whole way down and then stick the landing and go superstar?
See, and that right there, Ricky, you just brought up my conundrum with him, and I'm uneven about him because he's 9-1, and I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes the stuff he does, I'm like,
Ty, he said he couldn't watch the last play. I know this sounds get off my lawn, but I want my head coach to be able to watch the last play.
Was he talking about the last play offensively for the Colts?
Yeah.
Was it 4th and 19?
Yeah,
no, it might even been one of the ones where they were driving to score, and it was before Hurts scored. I don't even remember which play it was he couldn't watch, but it sounds silly.
You need him watching the game.
So 610-632-0975. We'll dig into a lot of stuff. We'll have Sirianni's presser. He's not going to say anything during that, but I just want to know they won the game, but a lot of people don't feel great about it. So how do you feel about that? And then this is just a question: does how Sirianni acts, just his actions, seem weird to you, despite the fact that he's 9-1? I'm just asking questions today because I just haven't seen it before. So it's like, what is that? I know they're winning, but why is he yelling at the crowd exactly? 610-632-0975. We'll be back here on 97.5 The Fanatic and NBC Sports Philadelphia. And now time for our Twitter poll with Jen Scordo. Hello, Jen.
Hello, guys. How was your weekend?
It was swell. I guess.
Swell.
Except my car troubles.
Swell. Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry.
All right, today, can we expect Jalen Hurts to carry this Eagles team through the end of the year? 2 answers. No, offense needs to step it up, or yeah, he can do it. And right now, we're almost neck and neck. 48% say no, 52% say yes, he can do it.
That's too much on the no for me.
I agree.
What more do you need to see out of your quarterback?
Yeah, this guy's the real deal. Whenever we think about the other stuff, he's the real deal.
I think people look at it, he needs his other guys to step up with him.
They do. He does.
I think that's kind of where I thought the poll would probably go. He can't do this every single week.
I don't know. It seems like he's a pretty smart runner. He seems to know exactly when there's a hole, and he takes it every single time.
Yeah, more designed runs for him, I think.
Thought was good.
Yep, absolutely. He definitely but I think the Colts, give some Colts some credit here. I think maybe they forced him to have some troubles when he was going to do some of those options and why it played out the way that it did. But here's the thing. If teams are adjusting to the Eagles to a degree to make the Eagles more uncomfortable, the Eagles are winning while that's happening. So while the Eagles now have to adjust to the other team's adjustments, they're winning while going through this process. And that's a huge part of this journey.
I agree. I agree. I don't understand. Also, people, the question of the day, how long is the question of the day as a segment? 4 minutes? We do 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
It's Thanksgiving. To the people out there, just so you know, I know it's going to shock you. A lot of people in America care about Thanksgiving. I know that's... Wait, hold on.
It's an American holiday.
Breaking news. A lot of people care about Thanksgiving. Best show ever. Let you know. Like when we do all week, 'cause it's a short week because of the holiday, we're going to do Thanksgiving-themed questions because Thursday's Thanksgiving. And we'll get to the question later, but it's going to be turkey-related. So get your mind going with that as well because everyone has a take on turkey. No one's neutral on turkey.
I guess I didn't realize this until we had a discussion today because I thought it was obvious. I'll save my answer for later, but I thought it was an obvious answer. But I guess my mind is blown today.
It is not, all right? The people take sides on Turkey.
I'm a big fan.
So 610-632-0975. But after an uneven performance, there are a lot of people out there, and I saw it. Some of the quotes are, they won, but it felt like a loss. And I don't understand that part of it. I understand you want them to play better. It didn't feel like a loss to me.
No.
They're spoiled. People are spoiled. I'm sorry. You know what? This is the NFL. These teams all play in the NFL. They are all great athletes.
Right.
You're not going to go out there and beat everybody 35-7. It just doesn't happen. Stop complaining. The team is 9-1. They're not all going to be pretty.
You're absolutely right. The other
That
part
kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, I can see. I like that. And I also give some credit to Goddard. Like, rather than say something bad, like Jackson, these guys are brand new at football. Like Calcaterra, these guys haven't played NFL football. Some of those mistakes they made, they can tighten those up. You can coach guys up after that. Clearly, I think that was what the coaching scheme was. I would have limited them more, but it was to give them a chance to get their feet wet and see if they'll sink or swim. They did more sinking than swimming yesterday. But then that also means that you have, and he's not out for the season. They won't tell us what the injury is. We just know it's a shoulder. But when he's back, you got to appreciate him because clearly he does a lot to make this offense run, and maybe everyone didn't recognize how important he was.
Definitely. How bizarre is it, though, to watch Boston Scott be the guy late? They ran it a couple of times. I just thought the personnel decisions just shocked me. You know, sometimes you can see it. Oh, I understand why. I might not agree, but I can see the logic. There were some decisions made by Steichen and Sirianni. Right? I couldn't even see the logic behind it.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Take out your number one back in situations. How about them going deep down the sideline, too? Although it turned into a great play because it was pass interference.
But you're going to Boston Scott on a drive when Sanders has been running well. There was a lot of stuff. And Sirianni, it hits me. Now, before we get to the phones, we're about to talk to John and Bill, 610-632-0975. Jen, sometimes we're crazy.
Yes, you are. I'm completely normal over here.
Sure. Sirianni, 9-1.
Yes.
Does any of his behavior, I'm not asking about the X's and O's. We know he's 9-1. But does any of his behavior and his, temperament hit you as odd?
No. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Keep winning games. I don't care.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
Let's say there's another year in his long career where there's a lot of injuries, and right now they're 5-6 or 5-5 versus 9-1.
Yeah.
Would his behavior then hit you slightly weird?
Yes. Just win games.
It's just, right, but I have never seen a coach, and that doesn't mean it's not going to work, but not just in football, in any sport, whether it's Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, like Popovich, Belichick, Dusty Baker just now. Like,
does anybody feel like this has to be planned, what he's doing, too? Because you don't necessarily...
I don't.
Really?
I don't
You just
either.
think he runs to the bench?
I do.
I do.
I do. He's that type of... He's a weird dude.
I just think that he's a kind of a weird dude, and it's weird in a city like Philadelphia for this city to have kind of an oddball coach.
I'm picturing Dusty Baker jumping
Yelling
with his gloves on.
Right when they got the no hitter, right? Because Phillies fans were feeling good, they're nice and loud going into Game 4. We know what happened, and then how about at the end of the no hitter, he running up there and he's yelling at the like doing that, like
Yelling
going up to Kate Upton.
Did you see that?
Right, going up to Kate Upton's side and going yeah, and he's like all emotional. I just couldn't imagine it. Like of all the winning coaches in all the sports, none of them act like he does.
See, I would call him rabbit ears. Because whatever he's yelling back, whether he's yelling at Eagles fans or he's yelling at Colts fans, he's listening the whole time. You see what I mean? He knows they're back there.
Yeah, he does. I think this is why the team, though, because we talk about these are pro athletes, right? We'd probably just somehow eliminate and not really focus on the rah-rah stuff.
Yeah.
But because it's so out there and because it's so strange, that
Hammer
helps.
always catches it.
It helps with the connection.
Yeah,
I don't know. I have no idea.
I agree.
I'm just asking that it's different.
I also think that Nick Sirianni is very comfortable in himself. Like it's like he's self-aware of it. This is just his personality, I think.
You're probably right. Let's go to the phones real fast. John and Pennsauken, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hello, John.
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening?
I'm telling you straight up right now, the Eagles is trash. They got exposed by Houston.
Who are you a fan of?
I'm a fan of the New York Giants, baby.
They lost to the
Your ass
Lions.
is handed to you.
Yeah, how was that Lions game for you?
We ain't going to talk about that.
No. I think we are, John. Actually, I think that we're not talking about the Eagles anymore with you. Your team, your quarterback, how do you feel about him?
My quarterback, man, man, we need a new quarterback, man.
And now your coach, I think he's doing a heck of a job coaching, right? Having a running back as the be-all, end-all for your offense doesn't really help you when you're playing from behind, doesn't there, John?
We're going to talk about the Eagles.
Hold on, John. No, John. I think I'm enjoying this conversation.
Eagles are 9-1. What is there to talk about from a Giants?
You guys now a couple games back.
The Texans exposed y'all.
So then what did the Lions do to y'all last night?
He's going to run all over y'all.
No, he's not.
Well, you didn't watch yesterday's game because they did not run all over us outside of one drive, which happens in a football game.
Barkley's going to run all over y'all.
Get rid of this.
Yeah,
Get rid
he's
of
a
this
clown.
Get rid of this clown.
I did what? Listen, see, wasn't me.
It was us.
I was very calm with it. Wasn't me this time. 610-632-0975. Bill, Kevin, Brian. We'll talk to you on the other side. What we're saying is, when we look at winning coaches in all of the sports, none of them seem to operate the way Nick Sirianni does. Not just football coaches. I'm saying, think about all the basketball, like Kerr with the Warriors. He doesn't do that. Like Popovich. Like, I know Popovich is older now. 20-some years ago when he won his first title with David Robinson and Tim Duncan in the 90s, he wasn't old then. He didn't do that. He was probably around the age that Sirianni is now, maybe a little old, but you get the point. Like, it's not just the now coaches. Like, I'm racking my brain to think of coaches who react like him, and I notice that some people love it and some people don't. So that's another thing with that uneven. Like, he's winning. We all love the winning. But when he act that way, like, we didn't like it when they started off, 2-6 or whatever last year, and then when they made whatever their record was, we didn't like it so much. Then when they started winning, I just don't know where to place him.
I think he knows that if it was a losing record or they were underachieving, I think he wouldn't react that way. He knows he can play this line. Yeah, because we saw him last year.
But if they were 4-5, and then they won yesterday to get to 5-5 after 10, would he have been the same kind of guy? They just won to get to 500 and blah. Like, it's just that I don't know, and it's just different. I saw some people go, that's the coach I love. And other people are like, he needs to calm down.
Yeah, I mean, if he's screaming F-bombs across the way like he did in some of the, was it Salah in the preseason, which I liked because at that point, Hurts got rocked out of bounds in its preseason.
But he did it a couple weeks ago on a play, though, but even on that Salah play, they threw the flag. Malata him to dude up and ended up getting fined for it. I didn't need him to do that part because it got handled. The refs caught it. And Malata tuned the dude up.
Yeah, he did.
Why do you need to do? Sometimes I'm like, the players will handle that stuff.
Yeah.
If the players don't, that's when you have to step in.
What would his one-word thing be? I mean, when you think about Tom Landry, stoic, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then you had guys like
Jimmy Johnson,
Madden just out of control on the sidelines, raging up and down. You had Shiano, cheap. They used because they used to try anything to steal the ball, whatever they could do. And then you have.
Would it be
Sirianni? No, that would not. No,
I
that's
think a
not
lot of these guys are. He's just kind of just different. I guess in some ways it can be refreshing because he is his own person. I just noticed that people and
all right, well, let's look
USA
the other way.
is up 1-0 on Wales.
That's big. That's big. But let's put it this way. Let's say another guy walks into that locker room, not named Nick Sirianni, and he's the same as every other coach you had, monotone, just another X and O guy, and it's just, you're going, another one of these guys, really?
Booney says the word he would use for him is manic, and you don't want manic. And that's what I'm saying. He's crying. It was just weird. I'm sorry. Like we're getting back to the game. We're about to go to the Foles. Hopefully his press conference will start on time. We're not ripping him. It's just, I was like, this we don't see this every day. That was my takeaway. Like,
he's different.
Yeah, he's a different.
It's not something. It's not something you would. You would expect that from players standing on the bench, whooping it up with a towel in their arms, but not from your head coach. I think your head coach, you want him to be on a even keel all the time.
Right, but it's working.
Yeah,
but it was just
works.
but is that because of Jalen Hurts and Kelsey And no, because remember Kelsey was basically telling him to calm down in preseason? Like, he was talking to us, but it felt like he was really talking to him. Like, yeah, that guy down the hall needs to calm down a little bit. Like, it felt like Kelsey was saying that. It was just something I noticed because I'm like, we're all like relieved. Like, Hurts scores, we're excited, but we're like, whew, didn't want to lose 2 in a row. We got it back on them. And then they cut to him literally, and he's in there cursing out the fans or with the fans, and then he's crying. I'm like, well, we're like relieved that he's it was like, what is happening?
That's a great point. What if he was in a locker room that didn't have Kelsey, Lane Johnson, and some of these
the
vets?
most stoic, right? And the most stoic quarterback in the world.
That's what I was going to say. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts is sitting on the sideline, cool as a cucumber. I'm screaming at my TV. How does he stay like that?
Yeah, right. And so credit to Hurts. It was just straight.
Like, I'm trying to put this together. Like, I don't know. You're supposed to be the guy that keeps everything together. And when he does that, it's just. I mean, I think it's funny.
It is.
So I'm not like embarrassed by it. Well, I wouldn't do it. So maybe if I did, I'd be a little embarrassed by it. He just doesn't care.
He just doesn't care. And I don't know how to place it. That's all. That's why we're asking your help. 610-632-0975. Bill in the Northeast, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, first time.
Oh, appreciate it, Bill. Thank you.
Glad to be. I want everybody to have a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Same
and
to
as far
you.
as the game goes, I think Nick Sirianni was just an emotional release after losing that game and able to come back with a win.
Mm-hmm.
That he just, and plus I think he really plays to the fans that come to them games. Like, the Eagles bench was very loud behind them, and I think he just emotionally exploded after the game. Like, wow, look what happened, you know?
I can totally.
And I came back to Indianapolis and got the W.
Totally can buy that, Bill. But let me ask you, you've been watching the Eagles for a long time, right?
Yes, sir.
Was it weird to you? Like, have you seen other coaches do that?
No, but I was actually excited about it. I thought,
okay.
Seeing that, I was like, wow, coach has emotion. Like, and sometimes you need to do the fans more involved and the players involved, because he can be his own best cheerleader for this team. When the team's down, he can go pat them and tell them, come on, let's bring it up. So I like seeing that personally.
No.
Again, if he was 5-5, I don't think you'd be seeing him doing that. But 9-1, he's on cloud 9, so let's just let him enjoy it.
Now, but here's the question, though. There are people out there that would say, and I'll allow you to answer it, that you want your coach kind of being the same. Whether if you're trying to go 1-0 every week, and that's been the cliche in that locker room, do you want the coach to be wildly happy at 9-1 versus 5-5, or do you want a coach that's kind of the same all the time because you're just trying to go 1-0 that week? That's the question, because that's what they preach.
I believe he will even keel out over a period of time.
Okay.
I think he's just so emotionally elated getting that W, going back to Indianapolis where he was an assistant coach, and feeling like even for Frank Wright, he did it for him. And I think it was just an emotional explosion for him.
Fair enough, Bill, and thank you for the call, Bill. Do you understand? They are preaching in the locker room. We're always 0-0. We're trying to go 1-0 this week. So, like, I get that they're 9-1, but what they preach is they're not 9-1. They'll say right now, I guarantee when he's droning on at this press conference, he's going to say something along the lines of, we're just on to the Packers, just trying to win that week. So then should he be having that big roller coaster if the sentiment from the room is just go 1-0 each? You know what I mean? It just seems to me, I don't even know if it's bad. I just think it's weird.
Right, I agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just different. And I think I'm okay with the on the sidelines, as soon as you win, showing some excitement. I think what upsets me a little bit more is crying over Frank Reich. I just don't know. I have a lot of good friends. I got some best friends, and I love them to death. But I'm not going to cry about them, I don't think. If my job is to focus on, my focus is I need the Eagles to go 1-0 this week. The last thing I'm thinking about is Frank Reich getting fired. I just don't see it.
Do you feel like Sirianni thinks he got revenge for Frank Reich?
Yes.
That's sad.
And I think he made a point of doing it.
You're absolutely right.
So, yeah.
I think he did it on purpose.